Okay, so I got something for you. Have you ever thought to yourself, I think I have a willpower problem? Like, I need more willpower. I need to try harder. And you keep having the same result over and over again. You don't have a willpower problem. You just have a messed up relationship with failing. So I'd like to talk about that today. Welcome to Beyond the Facade podcast. I'm your host, Luke Gordon, and I'm thrilled to have you join me in this space today. What we're going to be doing is diving deep into the trials and triumphs and truths of seeking authenticity. Becoming your true self isn't about a single action or moment. It's a relentless pursuit, a commitment to self that reveals the rich connection and meaning that our life has to offer. So whether this is your first time tuning in or you're a regular listener, know this: what you're building here goes beyond a conversation. You're here to challenge, to change, and to celebrate the incredible journey of becoming your authentic self. Because when you dare to show up fully, the rewards are immeasurable. So welcome to Beyond the Facade. Let's get started. All right, so let's talk about, I don't know, maybe it used to be more of my favorite subject, but one of my favorite subjects, Seattle Seahawks. So you probably just had a range of emotions if you're a football fan. So Seattle Seahawks. One of my favorite times ever as a sports fan was 2014, best Super Bowl ever. They beat the Broncos and they got their first Super Bowl title championship ever. And in 2015, damn the Patriots. Okay, so those of you who can remember, 2015, they went back to the Super Bowl. They had the best running back in the entire league, Marshawn Lynch. And I tell you about the end of the game. The Patriots were up. Seahawks were not going to win. It was the very end of the game. The Seahawks had to march down the field. Russell Wilson throws a bomb. And believe it or not, there's a juggle, there's a catch. And oh my gosh, they are on the 1 or 2 yard line. And now there's seconds left in the game. Not very much time, but they have 4 tries from like the 1 or 2 yard line to put the ball in the end zone and win the whole thing again for the second year in a row and beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. Yes, best thing ever. So got my whole family up in the bonus room watching the game. We're all got the food around us. I'm just on cloud 9. I can't believe they caught that. I can't believe they're going to beat them. And did I mention like Marshawn Lynch, best running back in the league? What do they do on the first play? Painful. They throw the ball. Russell throws the ball and it's intercepted. And the friggin' Patriots win the game. I didn't pick myself up off the floor for a long time going, did that just happen? Did that just happen? And that's football for you, right? I remember seeing Pete Carroll, the coach, and Russell Wilson, the quarterback, as soon as that ball was picked, staring at each other. And then I remember them the camera going, scanning the players and everything like that. And just like, I can't believe that just happened. And just everybody being upset, like just, anyway, all the stuff. I remember thinking about how me can't pick myself up off the floor. And then my friend was actually in Arizona at the game. And I remember calling him and he's like, dude, we're not talking about this for 4 months. We are not talking about this. I don't want to talk about it. And he was feeling, he was at the game. And I was like, dude, I get it. I don't want to talk about it either. And every time an ESPN highlight would come on, I just would like fast forward. So anyway, and I want to think about those. I want to focus on the ESPN highlights. So I didn't want to watch them. I would turn them off. Like whenever they would come through. And I'm sure if you're a Patriots fan, it's like the best ever. Still comes up years and years, decades later, a decade later. Well, I don't want to watch the highlights. And I think about Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, the coach, quarterback, the people that made the call. And I think about their experience. Now, what does a good coach and a good quarterback do after that scenario? After that happens? What do they do? Can you answer the question in your own mind? Again, I can only imagine thinking about you guys talking. Think what's going through your minds right now. Here's the answer. A coach and quarterback and the rest of the team, they watch game tape. They watch game tape at some point, hopefully in not too long, not too far down the road. And it's kind of crazy, right? Why would you watch game tape on that? Wouldn't you just go, Well, I learned. I know what happened. I'm going to relive it for the rest of my life. No, they would dissect and they would go, how did the other team know to line up like that? Why did we decide to throw it instead of pass it? I mean, why did we decide to throw it instead of run it? So professional quarterback and professionals, if they're good at what they do, they go back and they review and they watch. So I want to compare this to me as a human, me and my experience. Hopefully, if you make it to that level in sports, at some level you've learned losing and failing doesn't define me. Sure, other people might choose to have it define me, but it doesn't. I'm a good coach or I'm a good quarterback outside of that one play. Sure, will it haunt me? Absolutely. But it doesn't define who I am. And then they can show up and they can learn more about themselves and grow from that. And I just think about this experience of watching game tape, and it's my effed up, messed up version of what failure is and how I think it reflects on my identity that keeps me from watching game tape. So when I'm around the men that I am in the groups and the individual sessions, I'm watching these guys and I'm just astounded at their ability to pick up pieces when they have when they act outside their values and they do things that they don't want to do and it's on the big screen with the people that they love and they say, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to watch it. And I think about the hundreds, if not thousands of times before that where they didn't watch game tape and they said, I'm not going to, like, I'm just going to pretend. Like, that's so painful. I'll just relate to Super Bowl. That's so painful. I just won't ever do that again. That's that willpower thing that they can get hung up on. I guess I don't have willpower. No, you just have a messed up version of failing. You just have a messed up version to be able to stop and separate some of myself from my choices and understand why I did what I did. And we talk about in these groups, in these settings, what watching game tape looks like, how it's important to do it like right away, fast, to involve other people. You don't sit by yourself in a locker room and watch game tape alone. You bring your coaches in with you, you bring teammates in with you, you talk about the experience, you process through the emotions, and you go backwards through it and you go, what happened, what happened, what happened, what happened, what led me here? And it's so much different. And what's left is a place of empowerment. And what I think is about the gift that exists inside of watching game tape is, and I'll go to the men that I'm around, is they finally start giving, and I reckon this could be triggering for their partner, but instead of just throwing up on their partner, if they choose to not be in hiding and saying, hey, I acted outside my values and did something I didn't want to do that I said I don't want. Instead of just like going blah, or worse than that, being caught. And they come to them and they say, hey, I acted outside my values, or I did something I didn't want to do. And then they go, this is what led up to it. This is specifically what happened. And this is what I'm going to do going forward. That is presented. That is shared. And that's way different than getting caught or just throwing up on somebody's shoe and I don't know what to do with this. And I really expecting them to pick me up off the ground. I remember my therapist telling me, he said, Luke, I'm way less concerned about you slipping, acting outside your values is what you do when that happens, how you stand up. For the men listening to this, please do not weaponize this and just tell the people that you love, hey, that means I can fail, because and that's not what men do. They don't. I'm putting everybody into a bucket. That's not fair. Typically, it's not. This isn't used and weaponized, but it can be. So I guess I'll speak to both sides of it. Don't weaponize it inside of your mind and with those who you love and saying, well, it's not like I'm going to be perfect. What do you expect? And then for those that are being loved, that feel the hurt of the person acting outside their values, recognize that it's a lot more, that nobody needs to give them credit for that, but it's a lot more about what's being learned in the process and the growth that comes from analyzing that. It's not about perfection. It's about awareness and growth in that awareness. So anyway, Seattle Seahawks, they're still favorite team out there. Being a professional athlete, only one team wins. It's not about failing. It's about what I learned in the process and what I'm willing to look at. So anyway, curious, hopefully I get a chance to talk to you a little bit about this subject and what your experience is like with it. and what conversations it could bring. And hopefully you get a chance to share the concept with others. Hey, thanks for joining us today. If this is something that you connected with, I'd love to meet with you more and talk about it. So what you can do is go to chooserecoveryservices.com or check the show notes. And there what we can do is set up a quick conversation to meet. Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Facade, where we unmask the authentic self.